Bioshock is said to be one of the best video games ever made, and personally it has made its way into games that I enjoy playing from time to time and respect the hell out of for what they accomplish, but they almost never make their way into my favorites despite being really good. Bioshock was released back in 2007 to massive critical acclaim, and it's almost instantly recognizable with its trademarks. Bioshock is iconic, and for good reasons, and I aim to explore those reasons today and explain what the game does right and what it does wrong. I won't be comparing Bioshock with any other game to get the most out of it unless I'm drawing positive comparisons to other games or how it may have inspired or taken inspiration from other games. Bioshock is an immersive sim video game developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K in 2007. Bioshock has elements of survival horror in its immersive sim gameplay. Yes, Bioshock is an immersive sim with survival horror elements, and I'm not gonna fucking argue with anyone about this, so just roll with me here. I'll explain myself a bit more later on in the video. Also, I'm leaving a massive spoiler warning because Bioshock has an amazing narrative that should never be spoiled for anyone. If you've never played the game for whatever fucking reason, then you can skip to the timestamp right here to get straight to the gameplay part of the video, because anybody who spoils Bioshock can get their ass ate out by a fucking rhinoceros. So somebody spoiled the game for me, and I will never forgive them for giving away the twists at the end. Yes, twists. There's more than one. You have been warned right here. So, let's get right into it. Bioshock opens with your character's first and only lines of dialogue.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right.
Right away, the plane crashes and we enter this lighthouse illuminating the night sky, and we get a view of this towering statue with the phrase, "No gods or kings, only man." Then we step into this bathysphere and head down into the sea, receiving a presentation from a man named Andrew Ryan. I'll just let you watch it for yourself.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture. City where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small. And with the sweat of your brow, rapture can become your city as well.
Right away, Bioshock immediately catches the player's attention through the beauty of a unique setting and stellar voice acting and dialogue. Once the bathysphere lands inside Rapture, we get our first looks at the shit show that is going on down here. We're introduced to our companion Atlas, who guides us through Rapture, explaining that his wife and child have been separated from him and he needs our help to get them back. So Atlas asks us to kindly head to Neptune's bounty through the medical pavilion. But before we can get there, Andrew Ryan stops us at the entrance and explains,
Rapture isn't some sunken ship for you to plunder. And Andrew Ryan isn't a giddy socialite who can be slapped around by government muscle. And with that, farewell, or Buzz whichever.
As we make our way through the medical pavilion, we meet Dr. Tenenbaum, who tells us to save her little sisters and we'll be rewarded. But since this game is hard, we'll be harvesting the little sisters. We make our way onto Neptune's bounty and try to get to Atlas's family, but we're stopped by Peach Wilkins, who is like, "Motherfucker, you could be working for Fontaine, get the hell out of here." And Atlas is like, "Dumb fuck, Fontaine has been dead for years." And then Peach is like, "Well, fuck it, I don't care. I'm not letting you through unless you get me some research on some spider splicers." And Atlas is like, "Alright, you gotta do what he says, otherwise he's not gonna let you through." This fucking asshole. After getting the research, we get to fight Peach in a fight to the death and make our way into Atlas's family in a submarine. But right as we get there and see Atlas, Ryan blows up the submarine like a total dickhead, and after realizing that his family is dead, Atlas is like,
Moira, Patrick, That's just like Ryan. Waits until we're almost out, then he pulls the string. We'll find the bastard. We'll find him and we'll tear his heart out.
But it's our job to make it to Arcadia, the source of Rapture's oxygen. But as we make our way through Arcadia, Ryan floods it with this toxic gas, which pisses off this lady named Julie Langford. She's like, hey, did you fuck up my trees? No, wait, it was Andrew Ryan. Hey, come out to my lab and I'll tell you how to fix this shit. So we go up to her lab and Andrew Ryan is like, bitch, we made a deal here. So he kills her with toxic gas and Julie gives you the code to her safe. Inside is an audio log detailing a failsafe in case Ryan ever did this and that we need to make something called the Lazarus Vector. Because lol, get it? Lazarus rose from the dead? Anyways, we set off to the farmer's market to collect 3 things: honeybee spit, distilled water, and some chlorophyll. Once we get all that to make the Lazarus Vector and fix the oxygen supply for Rapture, then it's on to Fort Frolic, which is a shortcut to Hephaestus, Rapture's core. But when we get there, a guy cuts off our radio contact with Atlas and Ryan, and the guy who does this is named Sander Cohen, who is this psychopathic artist, and he's like, hey, you ain't going nowhere until you help me with my masterpiece, motherfucker. So it turns out his masterpiece is just killing all of his old friends and taking pictures of their dead bodies. That is fucking awesome.
Oh God, you sick fuck, let me out of there!
Jesus Christ. But anyways, once you do Cohen's bidding, he introduces himself in person. He gives you a tonic, and you can kill him and take his shit from his stash, which I do because fuck this nut job. Would you seriously let him live? So anyways, it's on to Hephaestus, where we make an EMP bomb and fuck up the main core in Rapture. And we make our way up to Andrew Ryan's office, which, mega spoiler warning right here, because remember if I said someone spoils Bioshock with no warning, they can get raped by a fucking cactus. Anyways, we meet Andrew Ryan as the core is self-destructing, and he talks to us about the differences between a man and a slave, that a man chooses and a slave obeys. He gives us a few commands with the statement, would you kindly, which Atlas has been telling us for the whole game, and our character seemingly obeys his every word. Andrew Ryan orders us to kill him with the phrase, would you kindly, so we kill him in this brutal scene. And then Atlas asks us to kindly get his genetic code and stop the Rapture destruct sequence. After doing so, Atlas congratulates our work, and then laughs like a maniac, and then he reveals himself to be Frank Fontaine himself. Hey, I gave the warning, you dick, so fuck off. So we run away with the help of the little sisters and we fall down this vent shaft. When we awaken, Dr. Tenenbaum has removed the mind control plasmid that we injected ourselves at the start of the game, but she hasn't managed to remove everything. So Fontaine, obviously pissed off, activates code yellow, which over time makes our heart slowly stop beating. So we find this solution and Tenenbaum says that the little sisters are drawn towards Adam so that they can lead us to Fontaine. Only problem is, they don't like anyone other than a Big Daddy. So we collect some shit to make us smell, look, and sound like a Big Daddy. Once we do all that, this little sister guides us to Frank Fontaine's headquarters, who's become this monster destroyed by plasmids and Adam. Then you drain Fontaine of his Adam in a really fun but kind of lackluster boss fight where he tells us, how could you do this to me? You were like my only kid! Because the life we thought we had was all a lie and we were created just to serve Fontaine. But then the little sisters swoop in and stab the bastard to death, ending the game. There are 2 endings. If you harvested any of the little sisters, you get the bad ending. But if you choose to save all the little sisters, you get a good ending. But whatever, plot summarized. Anyways, this story is fucking brilliant. I was a bit confused why everyone thought it was so great during my first playthrough, but as I've gone through it again, I get it now. Rapture is such a detailed, beautiful, and layered place that is hard-pressed not to mention the narrative prowess this game holds. Everything in Rapture has a story to it, and much like Dark...
Don't say it!
But this is a legitimate comparison.
We don't care, don't fucking say it, you know what happens.
Fine. As I was saying, everything in this narrative has a purpose in being there. The audio logs are actually sold as a product to record and send messages through pneumotubes since phone calls aren't always reliable in Rapture. Or that temporary immortality was achieved via the Vita chambers, or how plasmids are drugs that alter the genetic codes so drastically they give you fucking superpowers and turn you into a spliced up freak. But what I love most about Bioshock's narrative is the audio logs themselves. I listen to these every playthrough because they are just this damn good. The audio logs are written and voiced pretty damn well, and often the logs send chills down my spine, some of them detailing pretty disturbing shit. Usually you'll find one next to a corpse, and the log details how the corpse became, well, a corpse. I love this one log next to a dead guy hooked up to a car battery, detailing that he worked for Fontaine, and that Andrew Ryan's goons are trying to get some information off this guy by torturing him, but it wasn't working. I also love the audio logs in the farmer's market about how this lady who owned all the honeybees was like, hey, I'm sick of this Julie Langford bitch from Arcadia hanging out with my fucking honeybees without paying up. So if I catch her around here again, I'm gonna blow her fucking brains out all over the hive with my shotty. Or another log about the guy who makes all the wine, putting distilled water in the wine. The guy in the log is like, this fucking dickhead is putting water in his shitty wine to make it more shitty. I complained to the guy, but he's like, hey, fuck you. I could take the water right from the ocean. Which, if he did, despite being an immoral action, that might actually improve business. Since salt makes you thirsty, the alcohol would sanitize the water and not get people sick, but people would want to drink more because, newsflash, salt makes people more thirsty. That's why bars often have free snacks that you can munch on. It's a common trick to get you to buy just one more shot, and then another, and then another, and then another one. Then finally, you're so drunk where you can't even locate your own dick. Then you're thrown out onto the streets for stripping naked and running around the bar screaming, I'm gonna piss in the chocolate fountain at the Golden Corral tonight. Who wants to join me? So you stumble home, or what you think is home, but you're too drunk to know that it's not your house, and you stumble to some stranger's house and they have you arrested for breaking and entering. Anyways, the environmental storytelling is off the charts with this game. Posters line the walls in the medical pavilion, and how this Steinman guy tried to combine medical science with art, and he ended up deforming a lot of fucking people just looking for a facelift. Because lo and behold, combining art with medical science is very fucking stupid and dangerous. There's posters that have been mutilated along with actual bodies that have been mutilated. Part of why Bioshock's narrative is so strong is because everything is shown to you through your eyes, and control is almost never taken away from the player, because when it does, you know something is very important to the story. Usually when control is taken away, the cutscenes play out in first person, so you're still engaged with the story, and it allows the developers to convey all the emotions they want you to feel, while still allow freedom to think for yourself. Because we are completely connected with our protagonist, Jack, because the only lines of dialogue are spoken right at the very start of the game, and the words that he says are pretty damn impactful, to say the least. Because knowing what we did throughout the course of the game, I'd say that's about right. Killing Andrew Ryan and Frank Fontaine being two of them. Not to mention all the other crazy bastards in the game. All in all, I don't really have many criticisms of the story because it's hard to fault a narrative like this, and one did well at that. The only games I consider similar to this are Metroid Prime and... Right, sorry. Bioshock's gameplay isn't legendary. Let me explain. The shooting in this game feels good, but it could be better since this is made in the Unreal Engine. But that's besides the point. Sound effects are spot on. While I do agree some could be better, they have a distinct sound to each weapon, kind of like what Bungie does for their sound design in Halo. Every weapon is meant to have a distinct look and feel to them rather than having the punchiest realistic sound effects. But the thing is, other games like Half-Life 2, and oh yeah, I'm bringing that game up again, had distinct sounding and punchy sound effects. Like, you could easily tell the difference between the AR-2 and the 357 Colt Python, just the same as you can tell the difference between the revolver in Bioshock and the shotgun. And speaking of the shotgun, damn, that sounds amazing. Hey, hang on, I gotta go change my pants. I also think the plasmids in this game are pretty damn good in terms of sound, but more on the plasmids in a bit. Each weapon also has the ability to change ammo types as well as deal different types of damage, like armor piercing is good against machines while anti-personnel rounds are good against flesh, or how the shotgun has electric and explosive buck options as well. Bioshock is a system where you can choose to upgrade your weapon, plasmids, or other abilities like hacking and the amount of health you can get from medkits. Each of the upgrades costs Atom though, a precious currency only harvested from the Little Sisters. My dumbass decided to harvest all the Little Sisters until late game without knowing that if you rescue them more than a couple times, they give you a bonus 200 Atom.
You stupid! Stupid son of a bitch!
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Oh well, maybe next run I'll rescue all the Little Sisters and get the happy ending. But anyways, let me talk about plasmids for a bit. Plasmids are the real cool shit of the game. This is what gives Bioshock's gameplay its distinctiveness amongst other shooters of its kind. Because like Atlas said,
But there's nothing like a fistful of lightning now, is there?
But it's not only shooting electricity. Soon you'll be able to shoot fire with the snap of your fingers, freeze enemies and whack them with a wrench to shatter them into a million pieces, kind of like Metroid's Ice Beam. Or what about shooting bees at enemies? Oh yeah, there's a plasmid called an insect swarm that lets you throw fucking bees at people!
No, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes! Eyes! Ah!
Oh, this game is so fucking cool, what the hell? And some people think this is overrated. Fuck no, this game is perfectly rated. People love and value this video game, as they fucking should. Each plasmid is animated really well, and you can feel their power, even in their idle animations. Each one packs a wallop and has its own purpose, like the Electro Bolt 1-2 punch attack, where you stun an enemy with the lightning and whack him with the wrench. I really love to set enemies on fire in this game and watch them run around screaming like lunatics. When you hit them with the insect swarm, they start screaming and flailing their arms around trying to get away. If you're a psychopath like me, you'll laugh your ass off at this stuff. It's joyously slapstick in nature, but it conveys all the information needed to the player and serves a purpose gameplay-wise. Not only do you get the damaging types of plasmids, you also get ones that can control security cameras, or focus on enemies rather than you, or stick something onto a big daddy which makes them fight for you instead of the little sisters, or even use telekinesis to catch grenades and throw them back at enemies, sorta like Half-Life 2's gravity gun. All in all, the plasmids adds an entirely new layer of depth to an already refreshing formula. The level design in this game complements the style of gameplay pretty well. A lot of the levels are very similar to an immersive sim, since they give you an objective to accomplish and open up the entire level to let you decide how to complete it. But since this can get a little boring, since it follows the pattern for looking for a few specific items to build something to accomplish the main objective, while nothing repeats itself verbatim, the formula can get a little tiresome after some time, especially if the objectives aren't in one spot, like in Fort Frolic, where you have to actively hunt down the objectives to kill them. This can sometimes be a massive pain in the ass and get you to end up wandering in circles looking for that last damn objective before you can complete the level. It's kind of exhausting. And by this point in the game, I was already beginning to get burnt out. I do think the early levels of Bioshock are the best ones, because they don't have super annoying objectives to accomplish. My favorite level has got to be Arcadia, though. This level is fucking beautiful. I love the aesthetic of being in a garden at the bottom of the ocean. This is where Rapture gets all of its oxygen due to a tree being there. Again, tying everything in with the game tying in with everything in the game, serving a purpose to the story. Like, you can imagine that people would go to the farmer's market to buy food, or go to Fort Frolic to go for shopping goods, or how Hephaestus is the central electricity core of Rapture, or each place in Rapture has its own backstory and lore that is brilliantly written. Well, anyways, I do want to talk about how the game presents itself, so I want to summarize my thoughts on the level design. It's good, but it's not the best I've seen in a first-person shooter, let alone a survival horror game / immersive sim. Bioshock's atmosphere is accompanied by one of the most visually striking, unique, and gorgeous art designs I've ever seen. This art style is inspired by Art Deco, which has this very futuristic feel to it while staying grounded in 1960s decor. Rapture is stylistically beautiful. Everywhere you turn, there's something new and unique to see. The colors are so vibrant while staying unsettling and lifeless. Reflections of a beautiful city fall into chaos. Bioshock is instantly recognizable for its art design. The Big Daddies, the Little Sisters, and Rapture. A testament to good art design is when the things from the game are instantly recognizable. Games like Halo, Fallout, Borderlands, and Bioshock are instantly recognizable due to a few things that they have. Halo has Spartans and the Energy Sword, Fallout has the power armor and irradiated wasteland, Borderlands is the comic book first-person shooter, and Bioshock is where Rapture is. But for a 2007 game, the textures aren't ugly in most cases. This game's visuals stand the test of time, but everyone who has a brain knows that visuals with a distinct aesthetic will always stand the test of time versus games that try to emulate reality as best as possible. Games like Call of Duty 4 from 2007 look dated by today's standards because the game doesn't have a distinct style to its visuals. But Bioshock's visuals are there to assist the atmospheric sound design and the soundtrack. Bioshock usually has an atmosphere unmatched by anything similar to it. Everything feels wet, dirty, and rusted over, like the city itself is rotting away to the very sand at the bottom of the ocean. The sounds you hear are of creaking metal, dripping water, and the sounds of the ocean that is mere inches away from crashing in on you from that glass. But alongside that, we get to hear some classic songs from the 1940s and up. It's good music too, but I can't show off any because YouTube's copyright bots will get me. But when it comes to the original score of the game, This song never fails to send chills down my spine. Sadly, I haven't noticed much of the game's soundtrack during gameplay. It's all this classical jazz music that I can't play on YouTube because, well, YouTube doesn't understand what fair use is. Copyright laws are bullshit! The song that got stuck in my head during my playthrough was Bei mir bist du schön by the Andrews Sisters. I'll link it in the description because it's actually a pretty good song. Anyways, I don't have many comments on the soundtrack other than what I've heard. It is pretty good stuff, and it's cinematic, and it enhances the mood in every situation where it's played. Bioshock is one of the best games ever made for good reasons. Rich storytelling, replayable gameplay and level design, an incredible atmosphere, and a brilliant soundscape. Bioshock isn't my favorite game ever, and it doesn't even make my top 10, but I sure do respect the hell out of it for what it has done for the industry. Bioshock is truly one of the best video games ever made in recent memory, and I'll revisit it every so often just to experience the hell of Rapture all over again. It's a bona fide classic and a must-play for any fan of first-person shooters and immersive sims. Some would even call it a masterpiece, but since I'm on a bit of an immersive sim binge, well, we've definitely got something to talk about. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Also, a share is much appreciated because I really want more people to see these videos because I kind of work my ass off on them. Anyways, I have something real special for you guys coming up very soon, so just stay tuned for that and have a fucking fantastic night and take care.